Hey, Jack Smith here with Kevon Owen, doing what we do, talking about counseling stuff, helping people out. Kevon, how do you help somebody that's been through a divorce, even let's say a rough divorce, and they're trying to get back out there in the world, and they got walls up, they've been hurt before? How do you help somebody like that, like get back in the game and maybe learn to have a new relationship in their life? That's a tough thing to do.
Well, first off, I would start by saying pace yourself. You don't go through a rough divorce. You don't go through an easy divorce without taking some bruises in the process. And so don't rush out there to fill an emptiness that was there, because what you'll do is you'll overcompensate. So I was always lonely in this area in that marriage, or I was always defending in this area, so I find somebody who's just the opposite. Well, then you just swing that whole pendulum the other way. Take some time to heal and to really assess what was going on in you and what was going on in them.
Yeah, I think that term, I think it's still around. It was around when I was young. It's called the rebound, right? When you break up with somebody when you're younger, or even when you're an adult and you divorce. The rebound is that first person that you go to after that. And usually you're looking for something, and that thing that you're looking for is probably temporary, and you're just trying to be accepted by somebody. You've been in such a long relationship where you maybe weren't valued, maybe you were treated like garbage, and you just want to feel what it's like to be valued again, to be treated well again. But if you don't temper that and you don't know where that boundary is, you're going to find yourself in the same situation. And we know that almost 75% of second marriages end in divorce. And that's because people don't work through that first one, and they just replace the spouse with a new person, but their life hasn't changed at all.
The battle will change you. If you spent your marriage being defensive or critical or standoffish, the battle will change you. And I'm not saying that it's your fault. I'm not saying it's the other person's fault. I'm saying that it takes some time to return to the best version of you, to get back up. And so see where you're at. See where you're at, and know that you don't want to be a person who puts the person you're about to date and potentially love on the perpetual witness stand. Defend this, defend this, defend this. Well, you haven't known them long enough for them to be guilty of really much of anything at all, hopefully. If they're already guilty, then obviously. But don't pass on the other person's guilt because you haven't taken time to resolve your hurt.
Yeah, I think when we get out of a relationship like that, it's really easy to look at life through a selfish lens, to be able to say, well, I've been done wrong. Now it's time to feed my own pleasures and my own desires, and it can become really selfish. Again, that's not going to help you out. Instead of maybe looking for somebody that can meet all your needs because you felt like your needs weren't met over the last 10, 20 years, whatever it may be. Instead of looking for somebody to meet your needs, you should look to be somebody whose needs you can meet. That's how you're going to really get into a better relationship than you were previously. Be the person that somebody else would want to be with. Work on yourself, because I promise you, even though it might be the other person's fault mostly, you still had something to do with it. And there are always things that we can improve on and things that we can make better so that we don't repeat the same mistakes again.
They used to describe George W. Bush, and I'm not talking about his politics, I'm talking about the person, George W. Bush, going into office. They described him as charismatic and likable. They described him coming out of office as vigilant and paranoid. And what happened between start and finish was a war that he was in briefs in, that he was hearing all the gory, nasty details and facts, and it changed him. I don't know what he's like today, but I don't know what you're like today, this side of the war. But if you have not really had a time to see where you're at, wait and heal, because you're giving somebody an awful big responsibility if you're saying, hey, put me back together and be all the things that I've been needing. You're allowed to date. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to pace yourself, and that's the thing is pace yourself. Pace yourself. You don't be married 2 years later unless God's just very clearly speaking. But for sure. If you feel like you're in this situation, you might need some help, or maybe you're just looking to not repeat the same thing that you went through before, and you might want somebody to just be able to point some things out to you. There's this other thing. A lot of people watch our videos for the Owen Clinic, Christian Counseling and Clinical Psychotherapy, or Kevon Owen Christian Counseling. A lot of times Christians who find themselves in divorce have trouble forgiving themselves. To which I would definitely challenge you to explore the range of forgiveness. Don't be so hard on you because you've done something that you swore to yourself that you would never do. There is life after divorce. There is, even if it's your fault. Let's say for a minute, let's entertain the notion that you screwed it up. If it's your fault, well, even when we see biblical examples of people going to Christ after they've done something they shouldn't have, there's forgiveness and a call for repentance, and then there's a call to go, keep living and be different as a part of what happened. But if you've done something, even if you weren't guilty, let's just say the divorce itself is the thing that you're having to forgive yourself for. Forgive yourself. It will help you to launch into your next relationship, not defending.